Today we're going to go over some miscellaneous items regarding the FAA Private Pilot exam. First one will be radio calls. Talking to air traffic control is formulaic and it requires practice. When you start your radio calls, you want to go through these basically 5 steps. Who you're talking to, who you are, what information you have, where you are, and what you want. So first, who you're talking to. It could be the tower, it could be ground. That's who you start with. Who you are, you mention your make and model of your airplane. You mention the alphabetic radio sign, what that you got from ATIS, could be Kilo, Quebec, whatever it might be. Where you are, you basically give the tower your location and your altitude. And then the last step is what you want. You tell the tower or whoever you're talking to what you want. So who you're talking to, who you are, what information you have, where you are, and what you want. An example radio call would be Livermore Tower, Cessna 123 Alpha Bravo with Juliet, 10 miles southwest at 3000, inbound full stop. Cessna 123 Alpha Bravo. And here's some unique terms you might use when you're doing radio calls. Wilco, that means you will comply, and you can also repeat the instructions that you're given. Instead of saying yes, you would say affirmative. Instead of saying no, you would say negative. Use the word Roger when you're confirming that you received instructions from the tower. If you didn't hear something, you would say unclear or say again. Confirm if you want to double check something. If you're, for example, cross a runway or landing and you want to just be 100% certain that that's correct, you say confirm. And of course, all the instructions require a readback of your tail number of your aircraft, so make sure you do that. A full readback is also required for certain instructions like IFR clearances. You can also consider identifying yourself as a student pilot if it's your first solo, whatever it might be. So, you're letting air traffic control know what's going on. And now let's go over the ICAO phonetic alphabet. It's basically the alphabet, but in a phonetic way. So it's like, for example, M or N, they sound kind of similar. So to avoid confusion, you would say Mike for M or November for N. So let's just go through it. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Sierra, Tango, Uniform, Victor, Whiskey, X-Ray, Yankee, Zulu. And now we can go over some mnemonics regarding flying and what they stand for. So here is one for the required instruments for day VFR flying. Tomato flames is the mnemonic. So all you gotta do is remember tomato flames and just go letter by letter. So TOM, for example. First, tomato flames. Tachometer, oil pressure, manifold pressure, altimeter, temperature, oil temperature gauge, and then flames, fuel level gauge, landing gear position indicator, airspeed indicator, magnetic heading indicator, your ELT, which is the emergency locator transmitter, and S, source of power. For night VFR, use the mnemonic flaps, fuses, landing light, anti-collision lights, position lights, and source of electricity. For your run-up, you can use cigar. Controls, check that they're working. Instruments, check that they're working. Gas, make sure you have adequate fuel. Attitude, trim and flaps. And your run-up, make sure you warm up the engine and verify everything's working. For a final departure check, use lights, camera, action. Lights on is required. Camera, the transponder is on and set. And action, fuel pump is on if you have one. The mixture is full rich, full power, and clear for departure. The mnemonic for when you're lost is 5 C's. So C, 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 C. Climb, conserve fuel, communicate, confess, and confess. You don't, basically the last 2 parts, confess, confess, you don't be scared to confess that you're lost to air traffic control. For flight maneuvers, you want to use the mnemonic caper before you perform that maneuver. Clear the area, check your altitude, make sure your power is set and your airspeed is stabilized, execute the maneuver, and recover from the maneuver. If you have engine failure, use A, B, C, D. Airspeed, go check your best glide slope. B, best place to land. C, checklist, it's in your POH. And dialogue, talk to a controller. Your en route checklist is flare, F-L-A-R-E. Flaps retracted, lights as required, auxiliary fuel pump turned off after takeoff, radar transponder is on, and engine, lean it for cruise. For special use airspace, use the mnemonic MCPRAWN, M-C-P-R-A-W-N. Military operating area, controlled firing area, which is not shown on sectionals, prohibited area, restricted area, alert area, warning area, or national security area, and TFRs. For a spin, use the mnemonic PARE, P-A-R-E. Set your power to idle, that's the P. Ailerons neutral, rudder opposite, elevator forward. For a go-around, use the 4 C's. Cram it, full power. Clean it, gear up and flaps up. Call it, make a radio call. And cool it. Open cowl flaps to cool engine, if you have those. For things that can go wrong, there's 5 P's. Pilot, plane, plan, passengers, and programming. That's if you're using advanced avionics. For cross-country planning, use New Craft, which is NWKRAFT. So this is for cross-country planning. NOTAMs, weather, known air traffic control delays, runway length, alternative airports, fuel requirements, takeoff and landing distances. So that's New Craft for cross-country planning. For hazardous attitudes, just try to remember I'm air. I-M-A-I-R. Impulsive, macho, anti-authority, invulnerability, and resignation. All right, a couple more to go. Your before landing checklist would be C-Gumps. Carb heat, on as required. Gassed, you set your full tank on, or fullest tank on. Your undercarriage, make sure your gear is down. Mixture, full rich. Propeller, if it's a constant speed propeller, ready for acceleration. And S, switches and safety. Lights on, seat belts, and shoulder harnesses on. This one is probably on the FAA test. It's your required documents. ARROW, ARROW. So just remember ARROW, that's for your required documents. Airworthiness certificate, registration, radio license if necessary, owner's manual, weight and balances, and that's it, ARROW. And the radio license you only need if you're traveling internationally. All right, and the last one, go or no go. Just remember, I am safe. Illness, alimentation, did I eat? Medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, emotion. So you just want to go through those before you fly to make sure you're good to fly.